Hey guys, YouTube, welcome to Breakfast with Brian. And we're doing something a little bit different this week. I am pre recording this. Got a lot going on with the holidays and that. So I wanted to go ahead and still have the episode, but wanted to just pre record it. And what I'm going to do today is highlight the Comic Book Community Awards. We are 1 week away from the live show where the winners will be announced for the 2021 Comic Book Community Awards. So I wanted to take a few minutes to just highlight the awards. As you can see, I'm in my backup studio this week. Got kicked out of the usual studio with the holidays. So here we are. Oh, and actually, I forgot to grab something. Let me go grab it, figure out where I put it. So, received a donation from Dank Comics to give away in the Comic Book Community Awards to one of the winners. So, I wanted to just kind of highlight this. And so, here's the note from Dank. He said, "Brian, thanks for all that." For all that you and the other volunteers do. Great work. Here's a prize for the giveaway. Let me show you what this is. So this is a 9/8 copy of Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures. So this will be going out to one of the winners in the Comic Book Community Awards. That will be, like I said, next Saturday, December 4th at 9 p.m. Eastern. So thank you very much for that donation. I wanted to highlight the awards. And so let me just share my screen. There we are. So voting obviously is now closed. All of the nominations have been validated, reviewed by the committee, and we are ready to announce. So we are 1 week away. Like I said, I have a lot of work to do to get the live show together. Just sent out some information to all of the finalists. So if they want to join in the live stream, I hope they will. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen this before, but this is an original piece of art that was done for the awards. Ignacio did this for us. Ignacio, he's always in a lot of the chats and, joining a lot of the live streams. And so I reached out, asked him if he could do this for me. And so each of the winners will receive this print as well. And so I hope you like it. Spider-Man happens to be one of my favorite characters. So, but what I wanted to do is kind of review the different award categories and kind of give you my thoughts on it. So let me just see if I can zoom in a little for that to make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Yep, that's better. So the first, and this is actually a little bit out of order. Our first award on December 4th will be the People's Choice Award. So People's Choice, we have AR Comics, C-List E-Man, Comics Will Break Your Heart, Manny NYC, and MJ Comics. So this was a really good, I thought, representation. This, if you recall, was the 11th category added. After the initial nominations came out, there were some people that felt like some channels got left out or didn't have the opportunity to get nominated. And so we opened up the 11th category to hopefully mend those feelings and hopefully, pull in some additional channels. So, and that's what we did. So these are all very kind of different channels. AR Comics, a pretty large channel, does a lot of reviews and previews. C-List E-Man is has a podcast, does a lot of unboxings. Comics Will Break Your Heart. You've seen Jen on Comics with Bueller. So I think it's a well-rounded category. Manny NYC, part of the New York Warriors. He hasn't. I don't think he does too much. He hasn't done recently too much of his own content, but he's on a lot of the New York Warriors panels. And MJ Comics from, I believe, England, or certainly not the United States. And he's always doing a bunch of great stuff, unboxings. He just did an unboxing of Hulk 181 recently. So that's going to be the first award. So I think it's really kind of wide open, that category. A lot of different levels of channels: big channels, small channels, male, female, United States, overseas. So I think it's a good representation of the community. And then the first award, or the second award, but this was the first one initially until we added the People's Choice. So the best unboxing video or series, you have Big Herm, you've got Very Gary, you've got DJ Lynx, you've got Remy Q Studios, and Wink Inc. Now, again, this is, you have big channels, you have small channels, and they all do, various unboxings. Some are more, raw and mystery boxes. Gary does a lot of CGC unboxings, but a good variety of channels there. And I think that's going to be an interesting category, to see who wins, because I think that's really, anybody's category. And then up next, we have Best Collaboration Project or Event. And now you have DJ Lynx and Epic Rap Battle in the hot seat with the usual suspects. You've got the monthly comic review. Now, this is on Pop Culture Philosopher's channel. You've had Bueller on there, Bullseye Bob, Dylan, Robbie. So that's a good mix of people on that show. And then you have the 10 hottest comics with Comic Tom and Gem Mint, two of the big channels in our community. And then Comic Airways by Scott Shelf. Now, Scott is another, non-United States channel, but he does some great stuff on his channel as well. And so, like I said, you have some big channels, some smaller channels, some mid-tier channels. So I think that is another, category that is really, wide open. Up next, we have Best Speculation Comic Investing Content. So this was the category that had a little controversy. As you can see, Pressable Defects is crossed out. They had asked to have their name removed from the awards, which was fine. This may not be for everybody. And, any of the bad blood between myself or the community and Pressable Defects has all been squashed. I spoke to the Butcher a few times. We squashed all of any of the issues maybe that were out there. So we're in good shape, and I'm hoping that Pressable Defects will be on board for next year's awards, and that we can move forward. But on to the other 4 channels in this category: Comic Tom 101. I think everybody knows who Tom is. Newbie Comics. The Newbie Comics does a ton of speculation content. They do a Sunday night show where they're looking at books for the upcoming week. So it's definitely a great channel. Bryce Comics, again, a lot of speculation, does a lot of, and he's more of a, he has his own website and does a lot of selling, but definitely a bunch of information. And then Tales from the Flip Side, another good channel that does, a wide variety of things. So again, I think this is kind of, the fact that Pressable Defects isn't there. I think this even, it kind of opens it up to any one of those other 4 channels that potentially could win. Now, Best Cleaning, Pressing, or Comic Restoration Content. Now, the one channel here that really stands out to me is Jerry the Jitterbug. He does, his whole channel is basically videos on how he's cleaning, how he's pressing, the techniques that he's using. A lot of the other channels do comic, pressing and cleaning for the community, but I don't really ever see a lot of content based on their technique. So, the Rogue Trader, I know a bunch of people within the community use, same for Erod 212, but I don't really recall a lot of content on their channel that shows you what they're doing or how to. And so Bruce and Stephanie, now I've seen Bruce do some videos on some of his pressing techniques. And now Gamma Rays is on Instagram, and I do see he posts a lot of before and after pictures, but again, not so much of the technique, just again the before and after. So, um, I think this category could really go to any one of them as well, but I think Jerry the Jitterbug really meets the definition of best comic book cleaning pressing because he's demonstrating it almost in every video that he does on his channel. But we'll see. Jerry is a relatively small channel. He's under 1,000 subs, and some of those other channels are definitely bigger. And I know Gamma Rays on Instagram has a big following, so we shall see. Now, most entertaining content creator. Now you have Freaky Louie. Now, if you don't know Freaky Louie, you need to really check him out. He does a great Saturday Night Live type show spoof on Saturday nights, and he's doing a lot of sketch, comedy related to the comic book community, and it's really good. Now, Whack Comics is now on a different level. They are certainly whack. They do some crazy, crazy stuff. Very entertaining, very funny. Then you have Reggie Collects. Now Reggie is totally different than Freaky Louie and Whack. He's not really doing a lot of sketch type stuff on his channel. He's recently joined TikTok, and he's certainly active on Instagram. So he does some different things there. But on his YouTube channel, he is really just providing information to help you collect better. And he's certainly, he's a personality. He's definitely entertaining. Now, Scott Shelf, we mentioned him earlier. He definitely does a wide variety of things on his channel, and he's certainly entertaining. And then you have TM Nerdy, who does a lot of stuff with the community, a lot of videos highlighting the community, whether it's cribs, whether it's chatting with the community. So all very good in their own right. Like I said, you have some small channels, some larger channels. I think it'll be interesting to see where the votes end up for this one. I think the key though is with some of these channels, whether you're big or small, it's about engagement. It's about how engaged is your audience. You could have 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 subscribers, but if you don't really have an engaged audience, they may not step up and vote for you. So we'll see. You could have a channel with 1,000 subscribers who has a very engaged audience, and they may pull in more votes. So we will certainly see. Comic Book Community Builder Award. So this is really an award that is geared towards people that are help promoting the community and others within the community. So you have Chamorro Cinema, you have Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy, you have Legion of Comics, you have Sith Lordy from Spine Ticks, and then again you have Reggie Collects. So all great community builders. The Spine Tick show, Sith Lordy is always doing great stuff, always involving members of the community on his Saturday night show. Legion of Comics does a chatting or a live show Friday mornings that goes from Friday morning usually till Friday afternoon. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy, started the Grow Together initiative. So, I mean, he shout outs and highlights other members of the community. Chamorro Cinema does a weekly show on Wednesdays, promoting others within the community, always has a revolving list of guests on that show from the community. And then, again, Reggie Collects. He's doing that as well, right? During his live shows on either Wednesday or Sundays, he's bringing other guests on, highlighting members of the community. So I think all 5 of these are all deserving, but we will see. And then up next, scroll past it, Best Ongoing Series. And so, hold on, my mouse is acting a little funky on me here. There we go. Best Ongoing Series. So chatting with the comic community, TM Nerdy, mentioned that before. That's a great, interview style show highlighting members of the community. You have Coffee and Comics, Comics with Bueller, that happens every Monday morning, kind of kicks off the week. And he's got Bullseye Bob on there with him. He has other guests, and that's kind of just a great kickoff to every new week. Now, then you have Lame or Frame from Just a Rican and his comics, Rod the Rican. Lame or Frame. I mean, it's a great show. He brings in a group of artists each week, and then he has the chat vote on who is their favorites to, eventually determine a winner. And they have, typically have a theme for the week. Last week I think it was Spider-Man, so they drew Spider-Man and some of Spider-Man's villains, and so it was really, it's really just a fun show, and definitely has the involvement, of the community. Then you have In the Mix with DJ Lynx. I think that is a Friday night show. DJ highlights, other members of the community and things that are going on. He has, occasionally they're doing rap battles on there, so he has the community members come on and perform original raps. And that's a great show because there's some people on there that you wouldn't expect that show up on that show and do an amazing job. So, and then you have the Ready, Set, Go. That's the Reggie Collects channel, Reggie Collects show. That I believe that's the Sunday night show. And he always has a big audience in that show. And he goes over, recent news, from the comic book world. So that's a really great show. Again, so I think you have a diversity here. You have different types of shows, all doing great things. And again, I think this is kind of a wide open category. Now, I think this may be my favorite category this year, Best New Channel, right? And so this is just a channel that was started this year. And we want to highlight the best new channel. And so we have Actual Dracula, Canadian, our brother from the north, and he does a great shows. He's been featured on a number of other channels. He raps, he does comedy, he dresses up. I mean, it's really, he really has a great channel. And then you have Dank Comics. Now, Dank is, a little bit different, not your traditional just, comic book unboxing. He's talking about, life and how to improve yourself, personally, mentally. He does a bunch of different things. Dank, he is just very interesting. Love his channel, and I love his take on things. It's just a little bit different. And then up next, you have Evil's Comics, Evil Mike. He does a ton of reviews. He is constantly reading books and highlighting them and dropping reviews, among other things. But when I think of Evil Mike, I think of reviews. He's really a review channel. And then you have Nick's Comics, Nick Comic Culture. So Nick is another great community member. You've seen him on a number of other different shows. He does some original content. He does some previews each week. He's teamed up with one of his local comic shops and highlights all of the new books coming out. Just a great, personality, very, fun to listen to. And then you have TM Nerdy that we've mentioned before, Travis, and all of the stuff that he's doing with the community, cribs and interviews and things like that. So I think this is another category that is wide open. These are all great channels in their own right and all deserving. So it'll be interesting to see who takes home the prize in that award, in that category, I should say. And then up next, we have the Comic Book Community Channel of the Year. Now, let me just scroll down a little bit here. Scroll up. So again, you have some small channels and you have some really big channels. So you have Chamorro Cinema, Manny at Chamorro Cinema, just a great presentation. He's very fluid when he's on his channel. His content looks great. He's a bit of a tech guy, tech nerd with all the technology, and so his channel is just great. And then of course you've got Comic Tom 101, one of the older channels, one of the bigger channels. I mean, I don't think I need to say much about Comic Tom and what he does. Then you have Reggie Collects, just another all around great channel. He does, so many different things on his channel. Spine Ticks. Now, Spine Ticks has the incredible Saturday night show. They've been on hiatus for a little while, or not on Spine Ticks. They've been doing it on other channels, other members of the Spine Ticks show. But Spine Ticks will be back soon. And they do, it's usually at least a minimum of 5 hours on a Saturday night. And sometimes they go, 6, 8 hours, and just some really funny, entertaining stuff that happens on that show. I wish I could stay up later. I'm on East Coast, they're on the West Coast, so they start when it's almost bedtime for me. So, but they do a great stuff. I love to catch their stuff on the rewind. And then you have Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers. He's all over the place too. He's on Comics with Bueller. You've seen him do weekly picks. He does his own live streams, great shows, involves the community. So like I said, you have some smaller channels, and then you have some bigger, well-established channels. So I think that's a good mix there. And I really, I think it could be really anybody's game, but I think it will ultimately come down to, engagement. Who of those channels has the most engaged audience and who got votes in for them. So, and then we have Lifetime Achievement, the Stan Lee Award. And the channels we have are Comics with Bueller, Comic Town 101, Gem Mint Collectibles, Reggie Collects, and then Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers. Again, these are now all of the big boys in the community. And I know there are others, Lords of the Lawn Box, you've got Pressable Defects, you've got other great channels out there that didn't make the cut, that did get votes, but didn't have enough to reach the finalist list here. So, I'm hopeful that year over year, these categories, we'll make some tweaks, but that we'll have different channels being nominated in these categories. But again, these are all the big boys, all well deserving of this. Again, I think it's just really going to come back down to, whose audience is really engaged and going to vote for these channels, because, they all have large subscriber bases. And so I think, I think it's could be a flip of a coin on who wins that one. So, and that's it. Those are the 11 categories that we'll be announcing winners on December 4th. So I'm really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to announcing the winners. We have the trophies. We have some prize packs that'll be going out. So super excited for that. And, as I mentioned, this is year one. 2021 is year one of the Comic Book Community Awards. We are looking forward to making some changes next year. So right after the new year, I will be reaching out to the community. I'll probably provide a link on the CBC Awards website, this website that I'm showing here, so that that the community can provide feedback, and we can maybe tweak some of the categories or change the way things are voted on, or I'm certainly just open to any idea. So definitely want to get your feedback from the community so that we can make it bigger and better in year two. So I do appreciate everybody stopping by the channel. And, like I said, mark your calendars, December 4th, 9 p.m. Eastern, live show. We're going to have some great content weaved into the announcement of the winners in these 11 categories. So super excited. I appreciate everybody stopping by and, watching this and all of the support. Thank you for all of the support. Thank you for the sponsors, Cover Price and My Comic Shop, who have done some donations for the prize packs for the winners. So let me stop sharing there. So like I said, and thank you to everybody who has voted. We will also, in the next week or so, be announcing Comic Journey. So if you don't know Comic Journey, his channel, he has made a donation, and we're not exactly sure what yet, but we're going to be giving a giveaway to the community who voted and helped make these awards successful for this year. And so all of the nominated channels will be eliminated from the giveaway, and we want to give it back to the community who voted to promote them, right? Because each of the winners will be getting prizes, so we want to give it back to the people that made this possible. So Comic Journey is going to be donating some books, and we're going to be giving them away to one of the members in the community. So be on the lookout for that information coming soon. Again, thanks for joining December 4th, 9 p.m. Eastern live show, winners announced. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to stop in and watch the channel. And we will see you next week.
You down with LCS? You down with LCS? You down with LCS? Who's down with LCS? You down with LCS? You down with LCS? You down with LCS? Who down with LCS?